Hello, I am Michael Pearl, and you are at the door tonight. I'm answering Bible questions. A reader asked, this is from Luke from Munford, Tennessee. He says, if we're not required to keep the Sabbath like the Jews in the Old Testament, then what about the other commandments like thou shalt not kill or commit adultery or stealing? Is just the fourth commandment abrogated? All right, you need to go back to my Romans series, which is available on YouTube, or my series on Judaizers, and answer some of these questions in more detail. But the short answer is, I, as a believer, you as a believer, are not under any of the law of Moses at all, including the law that says thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, murder, have no other gods. We're not under any of that law. The law is not abrogated. The law still exists. It's still there for the lawless. It's still there for those who commit adultery, those who have other gods before them, those who are disobedient to their father and mother. It's still there. It still rules and reigns. It has not faded away. It's not passed away. But I, as a believer, have passed away. I was placed into Jesus Christ. I was crucified, buried, raised again. I am dead. I'm dead to the old man. I'm dead to the law. I'm dead to all that I was. I'm a new man in Christ Jesus and have a freedom in the Spirit. So I'm not under any of that law. You say, then can you commit adultery and steal and lie and disobey your parents and not come under the law? That you can do those things if you're a Christian, and God will judge you, but the law will not judge you. It'll give you an example, which I gave in another series. When the British occupied this country several hundred years ago, and say there was a law that thou shalt not spit on the street, and if you spit on the street, the British would give you 5 lashes. Okay, there's a day of liberty. The British are cast out. We're no longer under British law. We're now under colony law. And so you say, now that I'm not under British law, I'm going to go spit on the street. So you got to spit on the street. The cops pick you up and fine you, whatever, for spitting on the street. You say, I thought we were no longer under the law of spitting on the street. That's correct. You're not under the British law of spitting on the street or any other British law, all British law. You say, did the British law pass away? No, it didn't pass away. That law still exists in Britain. It still exists for anybody that's a British citizen, but it doesn't exist in the colonies because we are no longer under that law. Okay, so I spit, so why are you going to punish me? Because we also have a law against spitting on the streets here in the colonies. So I am not under any aspect of the Old Testament law in any way that would place me under the authority of the law, subject to the death penalty. I was liberated from the death penalty when Jesus Christ died in my place. Now I'm under the law of the Spirit and life in Christ Jesus, which also says, if you look on a woman to lust, you commit adultery already in your heart. In other words, the law under Christ is a lot narrower, a lot more restricted, and a lot more demanding than the Mosaic law. So why would I need to go back to the Mosaic law if I'm told not only should I not commit adultery, but I shouldn't even look and lust, because that in itself is adultery. And the Bible in the Old Testament, Jesus said, you've heard it said by them, thou shalt not murder. He said, but I say unto you, if you're angry with your brother without a cause, you committed murder already in your heart. So why should I go back under a law that says thou shalt not murder when I'm under a lot more restricted law of the Spirit of liberty in Christ Jesus, which said I'm not even to hate my brother? So I'm under a new regime in Jesus Christ, and I'm not in any degree under the Old Testament system, the Old Testament law. I give that in detail in different messages that last an hour. That's the short answer. So tune in again. We'll answer some more questions.